I think this goes across the board anywhere. Whoever's applying for the apprenticeship to know what the reality is like. And it's super exciting and they're just going to be tattooing straight off the bat. But there's a real reality to it that it's hard work, it's learning from scratch, it's listening to so many different people you don't know yet. So you really need to learn as much as possible.
It's going to be either a green flag or a red flag.
It's
like if you're sitting there and you're saying, these are the things that I would do to recommend, take that with a grain of salt, and then sitting there or you're really responsive to it, then it's like you can immediately see in your attitude, you're probably going to be someone great to teach.
When you're doing an apprenticeship, you're not coming in if your portfolio is all fine line. We're going to teach you everything. Even for if a guy comes in and his whole portfolio is trad, we're going to teach you how to do fine line. We're going to teach you how to design pretty little infinity symbols, pretty little feathers. Like, it all comes from that. So there's a lot of listening and learning and watching. There's so much watching. All right, guys, we're back and we're starting a new little mini episode series. We get so many questions through our DMs that we thought we'd not just reply through the DM, but we'd start answering them properly here. And we're a collective studio, so we're not just tattooing. We're barbering, laser tattoo removal, piercing, beauty, hair salon. So there's so many different things. So anything you want to know in any of those categories, shoot us a DM through our Instagram and we might answer your question on this. Okay, so in case you don't know me, I'm Alex from the Black Wolf Collective and I'm here with Norma.
Hi, guys.
And we're going to start calling this new little mini series Ask Black Wolf. So you can send us any of your questions through the Instagram page and hopefully we can pick your question and answer it in depth here for you.
Even if it's anything basic, like a really random question or anything, they're usually the best ones. So send them through.
Definitely. Okay, so today's question is from Sarah. Sarah's Instagram is Phoenix Women Risings. Okay, so her question is, what is a good pathway to becoming a tattoo apprentice?
Great question.
Constant question.
Constant question.
Yes, so we're going to try and dive into that and give you as much info as we can for anybody wanting to become a tattoo apprentice.
I feel like anyone that is interested in the tattoo industry most of the time wants to know how our tattoo artists started or how they can start themselves or what an apprenticeship even entails. I feel like before I started here, I was so curious.
Yeah.
So, and you got a lot of knowledge.
And coincidentally, we thought this was actually a great question to start with because we have just opened up expressions of interests and we're looking at taking on a new tattoo apprentice.
Which is so exciting because our last apprentice that we had was Regan.
Yes.
And he's just finishing up now.
Exactly.
And given the quality of the tattoos he's doing now, like people just don't ever really see or notice how it all started.
Yes. And now that Regan's finished, we think it's a great time to open our doors to welcome in a newer tattoo apprentice. But as well as us welcoming in a new tattoo apprentice, we thought there is so many people out there everywhere that want to get into tattooing. So we thought not only are we going to tell the people that want to apply to work with us, we're going to just tell anybody looking to get into a tattoo apprenticeship.
And I think the most important thing to start with is like, what are we looking for?
Yeah.
What do you look for in an apprentice? What are the qualities of someone that makes you go, yes, that's the apprentice I want here?
And even not just here, I think this goes across the board anywhere. I think most tattoo studios want whoever's applying for the apprenticeship to know what the reality is like because some people just think they can just apply for apprenticeship and they get in here and it's super exciting and they're just going to be tattooing straight off the bat. But there's a real reality to it that it's hard work, it's learning from scratch, it's listening to so many different people and you don't know yet. So you really need to learn as much as possible. So we really, firstly, us, and I probably speak for a lot of tattoo studios out there, we're looking for someone who's definitely, and I think everybody says this anyway, no matter what job, but this is a serious one. Willingness to learn is a big thing. Like we don't want somebody to come in and think they already know what they're talking about. If you're coming in and saying you've been tattooing from home, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be like, yay, that's probably going to make us be like, and a lot of places are going to be like that because people that tattoo from home, they haven't learned properly. They've just bought a machine on eBay or wherever they can get it from, and they've looked stuff up on YouTube and they've thought they know how to do it. They've tattooed their friends and they think they know what they're doing, but there is so much more to it. There's stuff you won't learn on YouTube. You need to be sitting with somebody so they can say, go a bit slower, go a bit faster. You need to learn how to draw things properly so that if that stencil rubs off, you need to understand the drawing and the artwork. So if that rubs off, you know the flow. And if people aren't ready to learn that, then they come in and they're pretty hard to teach. So I think the first thing that everybody looks for in an apprentice for tattooing or anything really is serious willingness to learn. Like, we want someone to come in and want to be taught and excited to be taught and ready to listen to anything that the artists are going to tell them.
Yes, that's awesome. And because along the lines of that, then you'd probably also need someone who's open and willing to listen and also taking constructive criticism.
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Especially with you doing your own artwork all the time. So I think when tattooing starts, when you're applying for apprenticeship alone, forget even getting the apprenticeship yet. When you're applying for it, you're going to studios and you're taking in your portfolio. So that's scary and daunting as it is, because in your eyes, your portfolio, you might think you've nailed it, and it's really perfect and it's really well presented and your artwork's amazing because, not to throw shade on anybody, but you've had your friends or your family say, that's so good, you could easily be a tattoo artist. And it's a completely different thing. So sometimes people come to us with artwork that they think is an ideal tattoo design, and that's their whole portfolio. And they're not necessarily a tattoo design that we need to see. We sort of want to see your artwork and your skills and what you can create and what you understand in art. Everything can be taught, but we need to know what to teach you. So you've done this portfolio and then you're going to bring it in and we're going to have a look at it. And then you've got multiple people come to you, which that's anxiety as it is, but you're going to get feedback and it's not going to be, wow, you're amazing, because the whole point of you getting an apprenticeship is to learn and to get better. So you're not going to get approached with the same feedback you're getting off your best friend or your mum. You're going to get constructive criticism from the literal get-go. Like, from the moment you approach, that's what you're getting. And it's not rude. It's not anyone trying to be rude. It's actually the crappiest part. Like, having a studio or being a tattoo artist or anything is having to give that feedback, especially to somebody who's just walked in their doors, proud as punch or nervous as hell with this portfolio. Tattoo studios, to anyone, they're not intimidating once you're in it, but they feel intimidating to approach. So it's already scary. Then you're walking in to get constructive criticism straight away. So prepare yourself. That's what you're walking in for. You're not walking in for an interview straight away and to tell them why you're the right person for the job. You're literally approaching that studio, walking in those doors, about to go and get constructive criticism. So that's one tip I think to say to people is prepare yourself for that's what you're doing. Like, if you're ready to get that, that's what you want to do. You want to go in and you want to ask the studio to give you as much feedback as possible. You want to ask the tattoo artists to have a look and maybe hopefully send you on your way to go and try something for you, like to try again. Like, not try again because you've done that wrong. You want to get them to give you some feedback and some tips on what else you can do to grow, if that makes sense.
And so, also, I feel like your attitude from that is already going to be either a green flag or a red flag. It's like if you're sitting there and you're saying, these are the things that I would do to recommend, do this and come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
And if you take that with a grain of salt and then are sitting there or you're really responsive to it, then it's like you can immediately see in your attitude, you're probably going to be someone great to teach.
Absolutely. Like, if someone came in here and showed us a portfolio and we were like, oh, I think you could try this a bit better, and they were saying to you, I disagree, art's subjective, like that's my art and that's it. Yes, art is subjective. However, that's not what you're going into. You're not going into a job where you can just create and people are going to walk up and purchase. You know what I mean? You can a tattoo artist can spend days and days and days making a design, and they are proud as punch. And that client can turn up on the day and go, I don't like it. And you don't really get to say, oh, too bad, art's subjective. You have to make it suit the client's needs. So for all you know is you could do this amazing drawing that you think is incredible, and then they turn around and go, actually, changed my mind. I don't really want a bird anymore. I want a butterfly. And then you've just spent all this time. You know, you don't get to just say that to them. So I feel like you're getting constructive criticism from the second you walk in the door. How, like you said, how you take that shows that studio the type of person you're going to be throughout your apprenticeship. So that's where you sort of want to hit your mark. One, yeah, you want to hit your mark with a well-presented portfolio. But I actually like it when people bring not just their perfect stuff, is they bring just how they got to it, like sketches and messy stuff. I don't even care. Like, I like some finished stuff, but I also like to see how they got to it, because then I can see how they work it out. I know they haven't just traced it, or they haven't just done it digitally. And even if they have done it digitally, bring in your iPad so we can watch the video, not to test them, but to see how they got there, and then give the constructive criticism. So really, you're not going in to show off. You're not going in to just impress. You're going to impress them by saying, give me all your tips. I'm willing to learn. I'll do whatever you want, you know. And if they do give you a little assignment to go and try and do later, go do that assignment. Don't rush it. Whatever you do not rush it. We can always tell if you've gone home, bolted home, done it, not spent much time on it and rushed it. Go home, put some effort in and really take on what they've told you, and then represent it. And that also shows us, wow, this person has taken what we've told them. They're very willing to learn, and they're listening to what we say, and they're taking it on, and they're following through, if that makes sense.
Because I think as well, a lot of people would probably be halted by the idea of trying to make the perfect portfolio and trying to have everything perfect, or even to have figured out their style for their portfolio and being like, oh, I want to show that I can, this is the particular style that I would tattoo and that this is what I would be good for. But having variety in there, I feel like, is also really important, because especially in the apprenticeship, you're not doing your own work at all.
No.
You are not going to be doing the things that you really want to do. You're not going to be doing a particular style that you just really like. If you need to show that you can do a lot of different art styles. And I think that's a thing that anyone getting tattooed also kind of forgets with tattoo artists, that like, sure, they've got a particular style, but a lot of tattoo artists end up having to do everything under the sun. Like, you can't just only want to do fine line and dot work, because in your apprenticeship, that's not what you're going to be doing.
No.
You're going to be doing everything.
Yeah, not for a long time do you get to do. And even if you do get to do, you've been tattooing for a long time and then you do get to do your own style, there's still days that, you know, your client cancels and then you're doing walk-ins. And too bad if you've just spent a year doing only fine line and the walk-in wants trad. Like, do you really know how to do that design, you know? Or are you just going to print something off Pinterest, trace it, do it? Because at Black Wolf, that's not what we want. We want to teach people as much as possible so that they actually have an impressive skill. And we kind of do that with all of our apprentices, is we put them through so much learning so that they're not just doing a simple design. You know, we don't really want anyone to ever just get a stencil off Pinterest and trace it and do it. The only time we really do that is if the client says that's exactly what they want. So yeah, when you're doing an apprenticeship, you're not coming in if your portfolio is all fine line or your portfolio is all trad. We don't go, great, this person, we're going to put them into trad. Like, we're going to teach you everything. Even for if a guy comes in and his whole portfolio is trad, we're going to teach you how to do fine line. We're going to teach you how to design pretty little infinity symbols, pretty little feathers, like, because you need to know those skills and it all comes from that. So there's a lot of listening and learning and watching. There's so much watching.
So much watching. And the best thing about being in this environment in particular to do your apprenticeship, not that I'm biased, but everyone here has such different skill sets in the best way and everyone's so willing to share their knowledge and get their own feedback. And I just think it's such a collaborative, supportive environment around the artists that's like, you're getting information off the best.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's just so supportive and like is literally wanting you to do your best. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so cool because even I remember when I started, I think Reg and Elsa were in the middle of their apprenticeship, and just hearing them go over to Ollie and like getting all their like asking them questions, or even now still, like Elsa's been tattooing for ages and she's
Yeah.
amazing now, and it's still each day she'll get something new and she's immediately running. Okay, she's like, I've got to do this, I don't know how to do colored realism, Ollie, like help me. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not about, you just need to have the headspace of like, it's not about you being the best or that it is even competitive. It's about everyone is in such a collaborative environment and you're going to learn so much.
Even on that, like we have 9 tattoo artists that work here. And even on that, all of them, some of them have been tattooing for 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. But even the people who have been tattooing for 15 years still are collaborative. So they can still have a tattoo that comes in. They know how to do it, but there's no egos here. That is just not a thing. And they will still lean on other tattooers, if that makes sense. They still get feedback from other tattooers. Here's what I think I'm going to do today. What do you reckon? Here's what I think I'm going to use. These are the needles I think I'm going to use. What do you reckon? Or, and that's sort of what we want to build in an apprentice and enlist in them, is that you want to always have room to grow. Like, you're not going to finish your apprenticeship and then you're the best. Like, we don't want you to do an apprenticeship and then, after a few years, you think you're fully qualified, in a sense of you've done your time, now you're right to go out. Because some of our artists have done 4 or 5 years worth of tattooing and then thought, I'm actually going to change up my style. And while they're insanely talented, they still learn a whole different flip, and they start a whole different style. So you kind of want to learn to have that ability to always be growing, because you're going to be growing in 10 years. The industry is constantly changing. So like 10 years ago, fine line, that wasn't a thing. So like, it was a thing, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing like it is now. It was all boulder tattoos and that sort of stuff. So all those tattoo artists that learnt to do trad, if you think right back, just the trad sailor tattoos and stuff, they never learnt realism. You know what I mean? So when realism became trendy, they were stumped. And then when fine line comes in now, the artists that learnt trad only, they're stumped now. And that's why people are always like, do they specialize in fine line? Rah, rah, rah. While any tattooist can do it, not every shop has places of tattooers that can do everything. And that's sort of what we want to grow, is we're trying to grow tattooers that are skilled in all rounds, and they're willing to always grow for the rest of their career, and they want to take on as much skill as they can, because who wouldn't? Why wouldn't you want to have all the skills? Like, why would you just want to pigeonhole yourself into a category that, if the industry changes, what then? So you are continuously in a collaborative space here, and I can't speak for other studios, but that's what it's like. It's not just the apprentices, that they're in such a supportive network that they can lean on anyone, and it's not intimidating at all, because we're full of artists that lean on each other, even though they've been tattooing for 10 years. So none of our artists are like, oh, here's another question, because they're going and asking another question. Do you know what I mean?
Questions.
Like, everyone that works here loves a question. Like, they want you to ask more questions. They want you to be doing that, because it means you're trying. You care about the tattoo you're about to produce, and you care about the drawing you're trying to do. Like, if you come in here and you're learning drawing and you're learning different skills, we don't want you just to go and sit at the table, do the drawing that we've assigned you to do, and then come over and go, done. We want you to stop while you're learning and use what you've got around you. Use the people and the skills that you have around you to really say, I'm halfway through. What do you think? You know what I mean? Like, asking halfway through a drawing rather than when you finish, you'll learn so much more. And that's sort of what we do here. Like, here's a lot of watching through your apprenticeship. And that's how a tattoo apprenticeship should be, is a lot of watching, like shadowing artists. And how you said there's so many different artists and so many different styles, and everybody does things differently. That's a good thing, because you're learning off so many different people, and you should do that no matter where you take on your apprenticeship. You should watch all the artists, because what artist number 1, the way they tattoo might not be the way you're going to tattoo. The way artist number 2 tattoos, you might take a bit of that and a bit of that. Do you know what I mean? They all tattoo completely different. They all sit differently in their posture. They all, they all use different machines. They use different needles. They use different cartridges. Everybody has their own groove. So it's dependent to listen and watch and soak up as much information as you can during your apprenticeship. So you're learning so much. Like, it can feel like you're not doing much when you're doing an apprenticeship. It can feel like, oh, I came in here to do tattooing. But what we want to tell you is soaking up as much as you can will set you up so much better for the long haul. Like, if you just go to a shop and you get an apprenticeship, and they're like, okay, here you go, tattoo on fake skin or pig skin for a little amount of time. They might only say like a few months. Obviously, it's more beneficial if you're tattooing because then you're generating income for the studio. However, it's way more beneficial for a studio to get you right so that when you're tattooing clients, you're doing well, like you're crushing it. So sometimes it can feel like, oh, this is taking forever. Like, why do I have to do this? Why am I serving clients? Why am I cleaning? Why am I just, all I'm doing is drawing? Why am I watching people all day? I should be tattooing. That's what I came here for. You won't step forward in tattooing a person until that studio thinks you've got it, until they know you're ready, if that makes sense. You shouldn't step forward into tattooing on fake skin and that sort of stuff until you've got those drawings down. You do some drawings, you learn a stage of that. You learn how to stencil, you learn how to apply stencils, you learn to understand the needles, you understand the skin, you understand the inks, you understand the depth. You learn how to tattoo on fruit because why waste fake skin because it's expensive? Get some fruit so we can teach you how to tattoo on fruit and how deep to put your needles and things like that. Then once you're getting better, we'll say tattoo yourself, or they'll say tattoo your friends, or get some clients in. But you won't get to each step until you soak up as much knowledge in the initial steps, and then we're like, you're ready to keep going, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's better just not to just rush it. I think that's the thing, is nothing perfect really ever comes from something rushed. I think all the best things take time, and yeah, an apprenticeship can feel hard and a bit sluggish, but it's if you're doing, and I think that's the thing, is it's like if it's really what you want and what you love and you can see yourself doing it, like it should be hard. It should test you. It should make you want to push yourself because then you truly know that you really want it. And I think that, to any apprenticeship, to anything that you want to do, I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, and every person is different. So every person who comes through and does their apprenticeship is different. So everybody learns at a different pace and everybody has different skills and everybody picks up on skills faster. So I think don't always compare yourself to someone else at another shop because you don't know how much effort they're putting in. Or some people are always like, oh, this person on Instagram is tattooing straight away. You don't know their background. For example, Elsa. She came from a fine arts degree. Her art skills were phenomenal. Her color theory, phenomenal. She knew so much about art and technique and painting and sketching and everything. So obviously she excelled a lot faster than somebody who needed to learn a lot more about drawing, if that makes sense, and art and flow and things like that. Whereas when it comes to those are the boxes you need to tick and understand when you're drawing something, the flow of hair or the flow of a person, she already had that. So she was like already leaps and bounds in front. So when people are like, oh, I know someone who's doing an apprenticeship at this place and they're already doing this or they've been doing this. I think that's why it's important to want to listen and listen to the feedback you're getting, because if you don't listen to that feedback and the constructive criticism, you just think they're not helping you. Do you know what I mean? You think that studio is just trying to stop you or push you back or anything. But realistically, what studio wouldn't want you tattooing? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they want you tattooing? If you're tattooing and generating income for that studio, why wouldn't they want that? So don't go thinking if you're working somewhere, oh, this person this or this person. Don't do that. Like TikTok, I feel like people watch people on TikTok and they're apprentices or whatever. They're not real. They might be telling you how hard the apprenticeship was. They might, but a lot of them aren't. Like I see them and they're, they're not. They're getting snaps. They're getting the likes. They're getting good little quick videos. They're not showing you all the other hard, sluggish stuff. So you don't actually really know what they've done or how they've gotten there or how quickly they picked up on things or how well they took on constructive criticism. So don't compare yourself to other people. Everybody's different. Listen to whoever is teaching you and respect the artist that is teaching you. Respect that person and just keep in mind, if you ever feel like, oh, I can't believe they said that, blah, blah, blah. And then your friend says, who isn't in the industry, oh, I don't know why they said that to you. Like, your artwork's amazing, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying it's not amazing, but they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know how to tattoo. They don't know what designs work for a tattoo. Because sometimes we can just say, the lines are too close. Like, I get what you're doing, but it's too detailed. And people take offense to that. But really, it's because you need to learn if something's too detailed to work on skin. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sort of thing?
Yeah. And that's one thing that I learnt when like coming here, even like you just with tattoo inquiries, you get them and you ask the artist, oh, can you, someone's inquired, they want this on their hand. And it's like, okay, well, that's a really detailed design. It's not going to look like that on the hand. They can't do this. And then you've got to go back to the client and say, no, we can't do X, Y, Z, and why. And then also they can get upset about that. But it's like, are you really going to tattoo something that's not going to last well? I think the thing is, it's just crazy. It's like you can be an artist and obviously want to do your apprenticeship. But I also think, and I would love to touch on it because I think a lot of people kind of forget about this part of tattooing, you're dealing with people.
Exactly. And that's why before tattooing, you're on the counter for ages and you need to do that.
You really do.
Yes.
I think, especially because I think a lot of artists, love being in their bubble. They like being in their zone. They like, quiet spaces that they can just work on your artwork. But you have to remember when you're tattooing, you are sitting with someone for hours.
It's a service.
It's a service. You are dealing with clients. You are talking to people all day. And you are collaborating with them and you are tattooing them, which is also quite uncomfortable. So a lot of the times they're going to be reacting a certain way or they're going to be irritable or, you just, there's a whole other element to it that it's not even just tattooing that you're working towards.
Yes.
So you've got to, particularly with the counter, I think a lot of.
Huge.
Super important.
Yeah, like we make sure, and a lot of studios do, and that's why, again, you're not just, it's good to work in, I think it's better to work in, if you have never had retail experience, that's why it's like, we ask people for a resume, not to make or break you, it's not a test or a pass, it's really, we want to see your resume, not to see if you've worked in the tattoo industry. It helps to see what other jobs you've had, because if you've worked in retail and you've worked in serious customer service salesy retail, you're probably confident with talking to a person. That's it already, like, okay, good. They know how to deal with people. And if you've never worked in retail or you've never worked in customer service or anything, that's not make or break. Like, we don't see that and think, no, it just means we know things that we may need to teach. We may need to teach you and help you with, because you're sitting with people for so long, and you also have to go and sit with them to do the consult. And if they're going to shut you down, again with the constructive criticism, if they're going to shut you down, you got to not take offense. You've got to remember this person is already, one, they're nervous. Two, they think they know what they're talking about because they've looked at designs on Pinterest that seem like they worked. And they're going to say to you, no, I want to change that, or I want to put it in this placement and that sort of stuff. And if you don't learn an apprenticeship properly, there are so many. I mean, we do laser tattoo removal, so we see it all the time. Like, we see the bad stuff that they've said, oh, my friend's a tattoo apprentice, or my friend's just tattooing from home. What you don't learn at home, and you don't learn off YouTube, and you don't learn from not doing a proper apprenticeship, is placements on the body and how a tattoo will sit, or when you're putting a tattoo on the ribs, how it's going to stretch out, and different body types. Like, you don't learn that stuff. You don't learn skin types. You don't learn what happens if it blows out when you're doing it. What happens if someone's bleeding more than the other person. You don't learn that sort of stuff that you learn properly on a hands-on approach in a studio. So working on the counter, for a good amount of time, it helps you understand how to quote tattoos, because you definitely don't want to get that wrong once you're tattooing. You also will learn what can be tattooed where, like how you said, on hands and those sort of things. Because if you don't, someone is just going to say, can I get this? And you're going to say yes. Like AI these days, come on.
Some of the photos that come through, like, I want to get this. Oh, look at this tattoo that's really cool that I want to get done. You're like, babe, that's not going to work.
And they're like, but it's here. I've got the photo of it. That's AI.
That's AI. It's not real.
Yes. So you learn a lot of that on a counter. You learn how to, because you're working on the counter, you're replying to inquiries all the time. That'll help you when you're doing your own business and you're running your own clientele and that sort of stuff, because you want to know how to talk to a client, talk them out of things, not talk them out of things, but talk them around to understand best, if that makes sense. And you start, every time you're quoting, you're going up to the other artists and you're like, hey, how long would this take you? How much would you quote for this? And that sort of stuff. So then you're like, oh, he said it would take this long. That person said, you get to get a feel of how long a tattoo should take. So you learn how long you should be taking for tattoos rather than just going in and thinking you know what you're doing. And I think if you work at a shop that doesn't have a busy front of house or inquiries, you're not going to learn as much. You don't learn as much as you would in a studio that does have a good customer turnover and amount of inquiries. You really won't. And you won't learn as fast, because you kind of want those moments where, oops, I quoted wrong. You kind of want that, because then you'll never forget that moment, if that makes sense. And you'll know where things can and can't go, and you'll learn how to deal with customers' disappointment when you tell them no. You definitely need to learn how to have great customer service, because you're not just saying, come over to my bed. You know, they're nervous. You need to learn how to make that customer feeling incredibly comfortable and relaxed and in safe hands. And it's really important to be able to do that and have the knowledge behind you, because knowledge is power. And if you can tell that customer that you know what you're talking about, they'll feel safer in your hands.
Yeah, you can confidently explain what you're doing or explain what's going to happen, and you have an essence of you that is relaxed, calm, cool, and honestly, you seem like you know what you're doing. That'll immediately put them at rest.
So obviously there's a lot involved in an apprenticeship, and I think everybody looks at what they want in an apprentice differently. Like, I think even that the tattoo artists would have a lot to say. And I feel like the tattoo artists also have a different version of what they look for. Like, actually, that would probably be another good episode if we got a couple of the artists in and they could say what they would look for or expect from a tattoo artist, and even say what their tattoo apprenticeship was like. I guarantee you, an apprenticeship 15 years ago is very, very different to what people are doing now. But it's very important to do that version, because you learn more.
So what's like 3 points of advice that you would give someone wanting to start their apprenticeship? If they're looking to start their apprenticeship here at another studio, what's 3 bits of advice you would give them?
I definitely think spend some time on your portfolio and really put some thought into the portfolio. Don't just do a couple of pages of a couple of just your designs. Really show as much of your artwork as possible. Like those big A3 ones, we love that because you can fit as much in that as possible. They can be big designs, they can be little designs, and they don't need to just be tattoo designs. Like, I think that's where some people go wrong. They think they need to present tattoo images. Yeah, do some tattoo style stuff. We do love to see that. However, we're still keen to see if you do different things and you do big paintings. We're keen to see photos of that too. We get to understand your flow and that sort of stuff. So fill your portfolio with your art. And also, it doesn't have to be finalized pieces. I think it's a really good thing to show a studio how you got there. So showing off your drafts and your sketches and your tracings and your reference photos. We love to see how you got to it from reference images. So fill your portfolio up with you. You know, like give them more to look at, as much to look at. And then I would definitely do your research. So research where you're going to apply. I think some people just are so desperate to get into this industry so that they just go shop hopping. And I don't think that's best for you. I definitely don't think that's best for you. I think there are shops out there that they may not know how to teach you, you know, so go to a shop that may have had apprentices before, and look at what happened to those apprentices. You know, if they're still there, then that's probably a good sign that they're a studio that teaches you enough and loyalty enough that you want to stay there. But there are plenty of shops out there that will just say, yeah, we'll take you on. And then they'll show you some basics and then they'll get you tattooing so that that studio just gets money, and that'll set you up badly for the long run. You know, you really want to learn as much as you can because you want to set yourself up for the future and you want to set up your career in a really positive way. If you love this industry, you really want to make sure you get into the right shop, because shop hopping isn't the best. It can be your only option. I get that. However, if you really, really want to get into this industry for the right reasons, I think it's really important to, if you do have a shop you love, stick to that shop, have a discussion with that shop, talk to them, get that feedback, show them why you are a good fit for that shop and why you want to work there. Because even if they don't have room for an apprentice, they might want to take you on or be willing to take you on because of your passion and your loyalty, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And be prepared. Go into that shop asking for the feedback. Don't go into the shop and just be there like, here I am, here's my portfolio, I want an apprenticeship. You really want to go into these places and ask for feedback. Don't just walk in and go, hey, I'm just wondering if you're looking for an apprentice. Even if that shop says, no, we're not, I would still ask for an artist or a couple of artists to give you feedback. Not just look at your portfolio, but give you feedback and any advice they can give you. Because if you are going to a few different shops, think of that advice. Like, think that you could, if you go to 4 different shops, you've got 4 different bunches of experienced artists giving you advice on your work. Take that, go with that. Go work on yourself, go work on your portfolio, you know, and ask questions. What do you think I need to do to be successful to get into this industry? What advice can you give me to get into this industry? And whatever advice they give you, don't take it with offense. Take it with, thank you so much. Like, you know, that person who's so experienced has taken time out of their day to give you feedback and help you grow. So take that. And if they give you an assignment, go do it, bring it back. Don't be like, ugh, but I just gave them all my artwork. F them. You know what I mean? Like, go work on that and then bring it back to them and show them that you've got that oomph and you've got that willingness and that sort of stuff. So yeah, really want to learn, if that makes sense.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
So
You get me excited. I'm even doing my apprenticeship with like, oh, it just sounds so full on, but so good.
yeah. So I think that's as much, we've probably given you heaps of information and heaps of insight on that sort of stuff. But like we said, we are opening expressions of interest to take on apprenticeship here at Black Wolf. So we would love that you take on all of this advice. If you are going to come in here for an apprenticeship, you can check out our website. We've got the application form on there. Fill that bad boy out. You can upload as much as possible. We do get an overwhelming amount of applications. So please be patient with us to get back to you.
So if with any of that information, if it does sound like you, it'll be so exciting to have an addition to the team.
If you want some more insight of anything, shoot us a question, shoot us an email. We can help you as much as possible. So don't overthink it. If you are looking to get into the industry and this is your passion and this is really what you want and you are willing to do all the things that we've sort of discussed here today, yeah, don't overthink it. Put yourself out there. Work hard on your portfolio. Work hard on your art. Go ask some people for advice and put yourself out there. Or jump on our website and feel free to apply.
And obviously, we are not just a tattoo studio, as we said earlier. We do have a lot going on here at the moment, actually.
Hence why we're doing these mini episodes.
Exactly. So if you have any questions at all about any points of the industry, about any of the services that we have,
about tattooing, laser tattoo removal, piercing,
barbering, hair salon,
art classes, an art studio.
Yes. So we've now got our beauticians and nail techs and everything sort of starting to kick off. So there's a lot going on.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. And I mean, if you just have any questions for anyone specific as well, we have the opportunity to ask anyone that's here. So yeah.
Shoot us your DMs. We'll put heaps of links in the show notes so that there's the links about how to apply, any information about the pathway to becoming a tattoo apprentice. They'll all be in the show notes for you. Otherwise, shoot us a DM, give us your questions, and hopefully we pick your question on the next episode.
Yay! Thanks, guys.